Motivation topic, we're continuing that topic, and we have defined the motivation, and we learned why we need to study motivation and what makes people motivated through three different approaches. We also answered two big questions in previous lectures, which are why do people engage in a certain activity, and how do we know their motivation in that activities are healthy and unhealthy through self-determination theory, and how to use external reward effectively using cognitive evaluation theory. Now we are moving to lecture series number 2, flow experience in sports, a special form of intrinsic motivation. So lecture outline for flow experience, we will start with the defining flow and differentiate between performance, peak performance, and flow experience, how to measure flow if you want to utilize in your practice, how we access that, and flow models and research findings, and the factors that disrupting flow, preventing flow experience, and practical implications as always. So bottom line again, according to self-determination theory, is intrinsic motivation, which is not just enjoying it, but somebody trying to learn, improve, achieve, reach their goals, and want to feel thrill and sensation in that activity, and to enjoy, or looking for seeking the enjoyment in that activity. That's a true intrinsic motivation. And then by some researchers, flow experience is considered as a strong indicator of intrinsic motivation because of a lot of emotional cognitive processes involved in that experience. Flow is a holistic, intrinsically rewarding motivational sensation and experience that people feel when they are totally involved and engaged in an activity or are on what? Autopilot. Flow experience is a holistic, intrinsically rewarding, and a motivating sensation or experience that people feel when they are totally involved in an activity or feeling autopilot. Because of that, people express their flow experience like this: I am in the bubble, complete sensation, focused, I am in the zone, I feel auto, peaceful, everything clicks, switch it and on and on and on, going fast, doing easily, idea, unbeatable, going really well. I was in growth. I have heard this one a lot more from athletes. Super alive, total control, all these languages. That's a flow experience. I want to differentiate flow experience from peak performance experience. So key elements in flow experience are these characteristics: having fun, enjoying. There is no ego in there, like there is no judgmental thinking in the process of performing, and it's very playful. You don't focus on the outcome, it's just a moment what you're doing, feeling of a control. It things clicks together and it goes the way that you want to be, and you're totally focused on that activity. Because of that, you tend to lose like your time and space where you are at, and then some people say it's intrinsically very rewarding, intrinsic motivation right there. On the other hand, the peak performance experience shares a similarity with the flow experience, like a strong clear focus, and you're just focused on the task and intended action but spontaneous performance. That is just something similar with the flow experience. However, it's not playful. Sometimes it's painful. You feel that pain while you're performing it, and it's based on when you say, gosh, I had a best performance. When you say that, which is peak performance, it tended to based on what? Outcome, like a sportier behavior, high level of a performance. And you fulfilled what you tried to do it, and you got it. and it's outcome-based experience is a peak performance. Flow experience, however, is what? Very process-oriented experience. Although flow is not directly associated with the outcome, in long term, if you experience more often flow, you're more likely to produce what? Positive outcomes, good outcomes, and a good performance, like a peak performance with positive process oriented experience. Why is it important to understanding trigger of a flow? Why you're trying to teach us what makes us experience flow? If you know what makes you get into flow experience more often, then what happened? Then you can make that happen more often. We cannot force flow experience to occur, like it happens, but we can increase the possibility of its occurrence if we know what is involved with each individual's flow experience, which is directly associated with what? Intrinsic motivation. Based on my observation of my flow experience and a number of flow experience that I have gathered, it's related to my confidence and in lowering my anxiety related to performance. As soon as I do that, then I'm more likely to get into my flow experience. How do I make myself feel more confident and lower my anxiety? I know that strategy. Prepare for the event. Prepare for the task. So I prepare a lot with the stuff that tended to help me to get into flow experience. And that's what we are trying to find. What makes you experience more flow experience yourself as a leader? And then as a leader yourself, you need to apply that principle to what? Your followers. And if you do what, they tended to get into what? Flow experience. And that's the point of this lecture. Then how do we measure flow experience? Like what makes them like get into flow experience? What are the factors, components, triggers around them that help them to get into flow experience? There are a number of ways to do it. And depending on the setting and application of area that you're applying this method, you can use one of them. All of them has the downside of using it, so you need to pick the appropriate one for your leadership. One is interview method, another one interview or diary, like describing your experience. Another one is called the experience sampling method, and the last one is a questionnaire. So I have a next 3 slide with the details of what those are and how to use it in next 3-4 slide, which I want you to pay attention. So interview method, like I said, a diary, or talk to them to find out the what are the triggers of their flow experience. But of course, it has a trade-off effect because you have to remember past experience. However, it's very effective in some areas. So this is one activity that I would suggest you to do it for yourself to understand the triggers of your flow experience. But you can also use a similar method to your followers to gather information about your followers and in their flow experience. How to measure flow? This one is called experience sampling method. It's very effective to get the fresh data. However, it has such a limitation to apply in sports setting. However, non-sports setting, physical activity setting, rehab setting, you might be able to utilize this method to gather more information about your followers and their flow experience. And then last one, of course, is a questionnaire. This is a field of psychology. So you have to use a questionnaire, and then questionnaire was developed by Dr. Jackson, Susan Jackson, and her colleagues, and she spent a big chunk of her career to introduce this topic into sports setting and then also develop a measurement. And utilizing that interview method of top athletes, she developed the questionnaire flow, a scale which can be used as a typical response measurement, or it's a state measurement, which means right after activity you can ask them their flow experience. Depending on how you frame that instruction directions on top of a questionnaire, it can be trait measure, it can be state measure. And this measurement is Island posted for your own use, so you may want to check it out how it looks like so that you can apply that also to your followers. This questionnaire has 9 components to measure flow experience and through their activities. So now I'm going to move on to like couple models that explains flow, then research findings and practical implications. So this is from Dr. Csikszentmihalyi, and then I have his video tape about 20 minutes or so later after this video clip, which I want you to watch. He talks about great deal about flow experience and in sports setting, non-sports settings. Okay, going back to his model here, flow experience occur when there is a balance between challenges, so difficulty of a task, and the skills, your skill level, which correlates with what your confidence level. When that skill level and the difficulty of a task or challenge matches, it creates what flow channel right here. If your challenge is high but your skill level, your confidence level is low, then you're more likely to what? Have anxiety, like, oh, I don't know how to do it, stress, above or beyond your perceived ability is way lower than perceived challenge, then it's just stress, anxiety. If your skill level is pretty high but demand is not there, then you could feel boredom, and which makes sense. However, if when those balance, that it creates a flow channel, but true flow experience doesn't happen in easy task and easy like low challenges. It's more of apathy. True flow experience happens when you have a high skilled and challenge matches with it, which is around here. When applying this concept, so balance between perceived skill level, confidence level, and perceived challenging level, which is task difficulty, when applying this concept into sports setting, Dr. Kimmich and his colleague agreed that in sports also flow experience occur when challenge is high and your perceived skill level, confidence level is high. If both of them are low, then you feel like you're in flow, but that's not true flow. So people sometimes say, oh yeah, I get into flow when I'm driving, I get into flow when I'm knitting, I get into flow when I'm reading book. That's not really a flow concept that Dr. C or Dr. Shalajarai trying to convey through his conceptualization. True flow experience happens when both the challenges and your skill level, confidence level, and your true skill level is high. Those are high. And Dr. Kimmich also, on top of Dr. Shalajarai's model, said in sports, we cannot just look at balance between challenges and the perceived skill level. We have to look at their flow experience more globally and then looking at other factors, because sports itself and physical activity is so dynamic with the environment. So he said their research indicated that we need to look at personality factors, which is goal orientation. Again, this is the next topic, okay? Attentional style, trait anxiety, trait confidence, which is what? Core personality characteristics and typical response characteristics, and then situation specific characteristics. It can be typical or what? Role related characteristics, certain situations, state anxieties, state self-confidence, which is called self-efficacy, and perceived game ability at the moment, and the concentration level at the moment. That state factor, along with the other situational factors, you need to look at them all globally so that we can understand the flow experience better. This concept, global theory of flow, was supported by Susan Jackson and their research as well. When they looked at the factors that influence flow experience among competitive athletes, they found yes, cognitive affective strategies that they use, but also a lot of core and typical response characteristics, which include intrinsic motivation, task orientation, again, it's achievement goal orientations, which we will learn in the next lesson, perceived sports ability, domain-specific confidence, low competitive trait anxiety, domain-specific trait, and low cognitive state anxiety, and the other mental skills all come together. It's highly associated with flow experience among competitive athletes. So now, factors preventing disrupting flow experience. Many, among many, I want to focus on the top one here. First, lacking motivation, confidence. Of course, if you don't have appropriate good level of confidence, if you don't have a good level of confidence, you cannot get into flow experience. And your arousal level, your anxiety level, that demand is too low, too high, then you're not going to have a good concentration skill or attention span, and you're not going to get into flow experience, which is absolutely found through the research. If things are not going well, which means not like you're not only about your mental aspect of it or cognitive emotional aspect of it, but while you're performing, you're in flow, you get injured, your ankle sprain, or your shoulder pops out, or you make a mistake, then you end up dwelling on that mistake, then of course that disrupts your flow experience. And physically also preparing physically and your surroundings for the important event. If that doesn't happen, high quality of a preparation is not there, of course you're not going to get into flow, or you will be pop out of the flow experience. Team dynamics is important also, that environment, situational factors. So one example can be weather, and it could be other factors like quality or status of your equipment is also very important. So next slide give you more examples related to factors disrupting preventing flow experience. So I put that in there for your own self-learning and understanding. So putting that all together, practical implication, how to achieve a flow experience. 7 practical implication suggestions. First, by theory, match the skill level with goals and challenging goal setting strategies. You need to have appropriate level of motivation and confidence, not too much. Having too much motivation, too much confidence is not good either. You're going to learn why, and you've been learning that too much is not always good. It has to be appropriate level. And we need to help them to focus on attention and keeping their attention present, not future, not past, right now. So when we are giving the instructions to our followers, we're not going to just say pay attention, focus. Sometimes they don't know how to focus or where to focus. Remember the topic, attention and performance. So we need to give them specifically where to focus, how to focus. That's the good leadership, and that's what Coach John Wooden, a basketball legendary coach at UCLA, always did. He did not just tell his players what to do. He always demonstrated how to do it. Also help them to relax. Optimal arousal is key to experience flow experience. And then of course in a physical activity setting, particularly when you apply this one in sports setting, they're not going to get in flow without good physical training. All right, so they need to have really good physical training over the course of time, which will enhance not only their the physicality, but confidence goes up because of that good quality training. Positive team play and interactions always key. So if you end up working with a group of people or team, group dynamics is a key skill that leaders should have, which is our last topic in this course. Then flow is not going to happen if you force it to happen. You need to put that elements, triggers of a flow experience around you and let it happen. Passive state of mind is key to experience flow.